really spoken about Spider-Man PS4 since it released at E3 and we got that amazing Prison Break demo and everything, but I haven't really given my thoughts on it, and a lot of you guys have been asking, so I figured it was time to talk about it. I've been really busy, so haven't really had chance, so today's the day. I've taken some notes down on my phone, and basically I'm just going to go through them. I'm going to give my thoughts on it and like some of the costume designs and the villains and everything like that. Now getting into it, one of my favourite things was when the demo opened up and you had that raft right there, like it's just massive. But something that struck me straight away was just sort of how concerned you are for Spider-Man's safety. Like when the helicopter goes down, let's face it, like Spider-Man, helicopters have gone down like a million times in video games before, but here you genuinely do feel like it's a real danger, like there's something actually happening. And all that's happened is Electro shot down a helicopter. Spider-Man's not going to die in that, but you kind of feel like he's in danger, like you worry about him. The combat looks really clean and super dynamic, sort of versatile, especially when you punch off the wall. Like I love how there's just sort of those environmental kind of takedowns that you can do. And it really reminds me of that prison mission out of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 video game. I think it was like the second mission, one of my favourites of that game. But watching this E3 demo, one of my favourite things that sort of kept happening throughout the entire thing was how they introduced the villains. When introducing Rhino, they didn't sort of just have Spider-Man come across him in sort of like a swing by kind of way. Rhino quite literally threw himself into the video. And I've got to say his suit design was actually really cool as well. It's very comic book based and you can still tell which villain is which. Like you can tell Electro's Electro. I saw some people online that didn't really understand if it was Electro or not. How? Like, he looks like Electro and he has electric powers. It's not really that difficult. But one of my favourite moments from the entire demo, like seriously, is the moment when Spider-Man does that little bit of parkour and then he like web zips through the doors and then Scorpion gets introduced. And just the way Spider-Man sort of twists and lands on the rail, like, man, that is Spider-Man right there. Like, honestly, so awesome. But just the way each villain was introduced kind of reminded me of that Spectacular Spider-Man episode with the Prison Break. And Josh Keaton, who was the Spider-Man voice actor in the Spectacular Spider-Man series.
Well, if it isn't Fancy Dan and his lil pal Ox. Where's Montana?
Right here, bug.
I did hear that he was voicing Scorpion.
This is too good to be true.
That is like one reason to buy the game straight up. Something else I picked up on as well was the voice acting and how awesome it is for each character in the game, or at least in this demo anyway.
Come on, Spider-Man. I thought this was a chase.
You really feel the emotion in these characters' voices in terms of, there's a moment when Spider-Man's running up the wall and he actually shouts, Electro, stop.
Electro, stop!
The strain on Spider-Man's voice when he shouts that is just, it really puts you in the game. It's great. And of course, again, later on when Spider-Man's being beaten the crap out of and he's sort of like being electrocuted and he's got like a little bit of a scream that's going on, like as he's being beaten to death. Again, that emotional voice and the strain, like you can feel the voice actors really putting the work into this. That's what makes you as the player really worry about Spider-Man as a character. What was that? And again, just sort of rewinding from that moment, Spider-Man being stood on the rooftop with all of those villains, without even knowing it and without even seeing it, you can feel that Spider-Man has history with all of these characters. And that's really interesting to me because obviously these villains are in the prison in the first place because of Spider-Man, and it actually makes me question, do you think Spider-Man has already been up against the Sinister Six as a team before, or do you think each villain was put in there singularly and then now they're coming together for the first time? Like, I'd be really interested to see if they explore that in the game. But then of course when the demo ends, we have this cliffhanger of a random villain arriving. Personally, I'm hoping that it's Dr. Octopus because he's just like a straight up amazing villain to have in a Spider-Man game. Now it's important to point out that Insomniac have confirmed that it is a villain. Like, it's not Iron Man showing up or anything ridiculous like that. It is an actual villain and it is the leader of the Sinister Six sort of thing that's going on. So personally, I hope it's Dr. Octopus. It could be Goblin as well. I'd be interested to see what sort of design Dr. Octopus has, because if you look at all the other villains, they've got like an updated design. So yeah, Dr. Octopus, that's like my number one. Or Mysterio. That literally just crossed my mind right now. If it was Mysterio, they need to have Mysterio in the game, period. Like, if Mysterio's not in the game, but all these other villains are, that's going to be so disappointing. But yeah, who do you guys think's the villain at the end there? Like, who could it be? It could be Taskmaster as well. Like, that is a possibility. He's confirmed for the game, so I think we've had 9 confirmed villains. Moving on a little bit further, I think I did mention at the beginning of the video that I have seen everything pretty much. So as for the free roaming, web swinging looks amazing. I mean, yeah, looks fantastic. We already know, we've seen enough of the web swinging to know that it's going to be quite probably and potentially the best web swinging since the Spider-Man 2 game. A lot of people have played the demo by now at E3 and they've also confirmed this. So that's very promising. But also, there are a few little details, like a few little bugs, no pun intended. Like, for example, when Spider-Man's crawling up a wall, his right leg moves with his right arm, whereas really, in reality, the way the brain works is your left leg moves with your right arm and your left arm moves with your right leg, so everything's opposite. But just to clarify, Insomniac have confirmed that when they're polishing the game, they're going to sort that out. It was just like a placeholder thing, it's nothing crazy. But I just wanted to point it out anyway, because it needed pointing out, like, it's just a thing. I also really like how there's dynamic crime, so you can be fighting a criminal on the street and then, say like you take out that criminal, his friend will get into a getaway car and then it'll become a car chase, so it goes from street to car chase and all that cool stuff. So that's really interesting as well, and obviously there's a lot of car chases. You can get in a van, you can get in a car, there's like a truck one where you can literally blast them through the window and everything. Looks awesome. And then pretty much the final thing to talk about, obviously without like all the stealth stuff, because the stealth thing looks amazing in terms of just being able to sort of sprint around the room and take enemies out stealthily, and then obviously go into combat later on with less enemies. That's a really cool addition to the game as well. But for the last thing, the Shocker mission. This looks really cool, and I'm hoping that we get to fight the same villain more than once, so hopefully we won't have to just take down Shocker once and then we never see him again for the entire game. I would like for these villains to sort of keep popping up. Yeah, anyway, going back to the Shocker mission. So I was quite disappointed from like what I saw in the demo. Is, don't get me wrong, it looks really good. Like, Shocker looks good, the boss looks good, like the fight and everything like that, but it's just sort of like you just wait a little bit for him to shoot some blasts. You hit him, you take him down, then you swing around again, you wait for him to shoot some blasts, then you hit him, you take him down, and then you swing around again. And I hope all the boss battles aren't like that. Don't get me wrong, that's not a deal breaker, it's just something that I'm pointing out, because obviously we've had quite a lot of Spider-Man games over the years, and some of the villains have the same weaknesses in each game, which is really weird. So just something I wanted to point out. But other than that, the game looks phenomenal. And if you guys haven't or had the chance to see this video like E3 footage in 4K, somehow find it in 4K, because it is just so clear. The graphics are amazing, and of course, like, apparently we're going to get like dynamic weather as well. So after you've completed the game, you can choose whether it's raining, you can choose whether it's sunny, you can choose the time of day from like obviously the morning to like the midday to like sunset and all that crazy stuff, nighttime. I feel like there's something I'm just forgetting to talk about. What, like, there's something and I just can't quite put my finger on it. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. That's like my quick thoughts on the game, and obviously for any of you guys that are wondering, I will be doing a full walkthrough and I will be live streaming the game. I haven't decided yet like whether I'm just going to live stream the game straight away and then I'll upload it onto my YouTube channel as like separate parts from the live stream sort of thing. So I'll decide that closer to the time. But if there's anything I haven't spoken about, guys, let me know in the comments below, because obviously we can talk about it down there. I can point out some more stuff, give some more thoughts on it. And if you like these videos, hit the subscribe button, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.